is so near and dear to all of our hearts. And I say, especially if I could say on a personal note, my gratitude to Rav Gav. I told the story. Let me just say it very quickly. I finished the Chizuk mission this past few weeks ago, and I left, and I couldn't wait to go learn from Rav Gav. From a second class, I walked in. The first thing he said to me, "Mom, Mom," you remember that? I'm like, "I'm not his mother." He's like, "You say that to everybody," and it was just so cute. And I just have to say on a personal note, how you've touched the lives personally of the Feld family, every one of us, and the Jewish people at large. And we're grateful that you took the time and you're giving this share to us right now. And I just want to say always that the learning should be, I ask for my mother, Shendel Bas Moshe and Leah for the Neshamas, Ruchama Chaya Fruma Bas Dov Pinchas, Harav Yisrael Noach Ben Yitzhak Matisyahu, Rebbe Tindina Bas Elchanan, Rav Zachariah Shimon Ben Yitzhak HaKohen, Chana Mindel Bas Yisrael. And I say to all that has been lost in Klal Yisrael, it should be an aliyah. For all the neshamas, and they should storm the heavens. And Hashem should bring Mashiach Barachamim, and she be refuah shalema for Zachariah Dov ben Perel Shira, continued health and goodness, and Liba Ahuva Bas Chana Riva, Yosef Mendel Bas Ben Rachel, Raphael Chaim Meir ben Simachasha, Pesach Betzalel ben Chaya Batsheva, Sarah Sosha Bas Chaya Rachel, Mendel Rachel Bas Amuna, Malka Bas Aviva and Shimon ben Sarah, and for all refuah shalema, Shana Malka Bas Batsheva. And I ask it should be yes for everybody. And without further ado, Rav Gav, take it away.
Okay, that was quite the intro. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome one and all. Let us begin. Just 1 second, Rebbetzin Feld, just tell me one more time, what was the title? I know you're killing me here, but did we have a title?
The title is yours, and it's called Chanukah, and bringing the deeper messages to all of us from Rav Gav, what he could give to us over from the high.
Okay, fine,
but what we do always,
title.
We have a title, and then Rav Gav says, "Do you trust me? Do you trust me?" And I always say, "I trust you." So take it away with.
Okay.
With
all right. So let's just do it. So there is a we just went through Parshas Vayeshev. We saw it started off about a whole. It's crazy if you look through the life of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is going through some rough stuff from literally before he's born. You understand? It's like one thing, people like go through things like you have hard things in life. How many people get to say that you have a pregame show that's so hard? In other words, that you're going through sibling rivalry in the womb. And that's what's going on. He's fighting with Esav ad kidei kach that Yaakov is supposed to come out first. Yaakov is supposed to be the Bechor, not only because he's sold in the whole spiel with the birthright and everything, with the soup and the lentils and whatever, but he was supposed to come out first. And Esav said, "Listen, here's the deal. You could try, but if you do that, I'm going to kill our mother. Like I'm not going to let this happen." So Yaakov's like, "Okay, so I guess you go first, And he comes out and he's basically going through. I don't have to really go through the whole life. So you guys get the point. But he had a rough time, and ad kidei kach that he wants to actually kill him. He has to run away. He gets to Lavan, and Lavan messes him over like over and over and over and over again. Asaris Pamim, the Gemara says 100 times he changed the deal on him. If there are any lawyers in the audience, then you'd also actually have to speak Hebrew, but you maybe familiar with an expression. But there's an expression that's used actually just in Israeli daily life, but in law it's used. Even secular Israelis will say an expression which is "berachel bitcha haketana," and that's an expression. What is that expression? It's a pasuk in the Torah, and that is that we know that when Lavan says, "What do you want to? You come to my house. You shouldn't be that you work for nothing. What do you want?" He's like, "I want to marry your daughter, Rachel," and he says the words Rachel bitcha Haketana. Why so many words? Just say Rachel, or just say the younger. Why do you have to say all of them? The answer is because I want to marry Rachel. But if you're going to go ahead and say, no problem, and then after I work, you're going to bring some Rachel from the street and say, like, oh, here, marry her instead. No, Rachel Bidcha, the one that's your daughter. And if you're going to pull a shtick on me, and then not only change that, but then change the names of Rachel and Leah, that you're going to call Leah Rachel and Rachel Leah, then it means Berachel Bitcha Hakatana, the younger one. And you know that she's the younger one, so you can't pull any shtick over there. And Im Kolze, you still pull shtick. And this goes on for 20 years, and he goes and meets up, and Asa wants to kill him again. He bites him on the, just to bite his neck. He gave him a kiss. How do you understand the measures there? You know, he's going through rough stuff. And after going through Gehenna, he finally just wants to chill a little bit. Just wants to chill. And then what happens? Vayeshev Yaakov. Yaakov goes and he wants to sit down and just learn. He's Ish Tam Yoshev Olam. That's what he is. He's the one who's, you know, from his youth, was the one who was like the tent dweller, the one who wants to just learn Torah. Just leave me alone and let me steig. What happens? Whew, the story of Yosef. And this is probably, I mean, we know out of all the things that he went through, this one killed him. Like this one almost killed him a few times. You know, about how Yosef gets taken from him. He lost his nevuah at that point. He's going through ahead of him. His child is missing, but according to him, his child was destroyed, was killed by an animal, by a chaya ra, and this is the one that he loved so much. Oh, it's rough. It's very, very rough. And what was it that he was asking to do that he had to go through this experience? So that's the Medrash tells us. Rashi says, Bikesh Leishev Bilshalva. He requested to sit in tranquility, in peace. Just let me learn, let me steig, let me get close to Hashem, let me serve Hashem. But I want to do it in a way that we're like, it's, you know, just relaxing. And Hashem says to him, I'm really sorry, but you got it all wrong. Like, that's just not how it works. If you want to do that, then, you know, we could deal with that, but that's in Olam Haba. That's the next world. That's not what Olam Hazeh is about. The world that we live in, the world of the physical world that we are in, this is the world of action and of pushing and of fighting and of overcoming challenges and of working and of growing. Bikesh Leishe Bashalva, and on that he had to be taught a lesson that I'm sorry to tell you this, but like, doesn't work like that. But guess what? Even though you're going through a hard time, you're supposed to be still steiging and still involved with your avodas Hashem and still be growing, even when going through a hard time. This is every one of us goes through this. Every one of this in this Zoom, or what do you call this thing, has either been through challenges or is, what am I saying? Everyone's going through challenges. Everyone's going through challenges. And we play a game like you think like, oh, we look at people, we think that they got everything going for them. Everybody's got challenges. And you would think, sometimes it's shocking. You're like, really? Like, I never would have thought that. And he says, yeah, you never would have thought that because we actually don't know. I'll tell you, my mother had on her one of these profile pics, it says the following, I'm actually looking it up. It says, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Every single person that you meet is going through something. Now, everything's relative, you know, but it's relative to ourselves. So it's like, if you're going through a challenge that to me is a level 1 challenge, and I'm going through a challenge that to me is a level 5 challenge, that doesn't mean that I have a harder challenge than you. That's just relative to me. To you, the level 1 challenge could be a level 10. Everything's relative to you. That being the case, you know, we all think, oh, it's actually rabbits and normal thing. We were just talking about this the other day, right? And about how, like, you know, we think everything's good and dandy and whatever. And this is like, everybody's got stuff. Everybody's got stuff. Everybody's dealing with stuff. And dare I repeat my story I told you, the joke that I said, which is unfortunately not a joke, but they say that Sukkot is considered Zman Simchasenu. The question is, why is Sukkot Zman Simchasenu? It's a time of joy. What's the joy of Sukkot? So we could come up with a lot of different answers. So one beautiful answer, B'Loshen Sagi, you know, one answer that I heard was that the entire year we think that our family is the only family that's dysfunctional. Everybody thinks that their family is the only one that's dysfunctional. Then comes Sukkot, and you hear all your neighbors, and you realize that everyone's dysfunctional. So Zman Simchaseinu, we live in joy that we're not the only ones that are suffering. Misery loves company. Okay, it's a joke. Relax, everyone. But the point is that what we're saying is that we're all going through something, and you have no idea. You think you know, you don't know. We're all going through it. So this is like I would call even the low hanging fruit type of discussion and talk because of course I'm going to hit everybody personally because every single one of you is going through something. And if you're not going through something, then you need help fast because then you don't even realize you're going through something. That's bad. Okay, so we're all going through stuff. The question is, how do we deal with the circumstance situation that we're dealing with? And a lot of times what could happen is a person will say, listen, I'm going through stuff. I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna move away. Well, the funny thing is, what are you talking about? Bikish Leishi Bashalva. And you know what the lesson that Yaakov Avinu had to learn from this is it doesn't matter what you're going through in your life. It doesn't, of course, it matters. What I mean is in reference to the idea of no matter what you're going through in life, doesn't change the fact that we have to still be in Eved Hashem. We still have to work. We still have to serve Hashem. We still have to grow. We still have to be continuing. And we got to keep fighting. We got to keep going, not giving up, not stopping, not saying, oh, what now? Why now? This goes into like, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I could. That's not true. That's not true. I do know that many of you can relate to this. It's just like a speaker's shtick. I don't know if you can relate to it. No, I know you can relate to this. Not all of you, but I think most of you. I would even go so far as to say all of you, but relate to the idea of when you decide that you actually want to grow in life, like you make a decision, you say, you know what, it's true. It takes a while for some people, right? And for me, and maybe for you too, to come to terms with the fact that there is what to work on and areas to grow in. Yeah, it can take a while. But when a person finally hits that stage of maturity, do not confuse for a second age and maturity. Those do not have to come together. But understand that what happens when a person gets to that level of maturity where they're willing to understand and admit the fact, yeah, it's got a problem, and I have to work on that problem. Like I understand that. Finally, I recognize and I admit to the fact I have to work on the problem. I say, God, okay, I want to get close to you. I want to get close to you. I'm going to be more careful in my observance of my Judaism and whatever level I'm on. Everybody is whatever level they're at. I'm going to be more careful with saying brachos, so saying them out loud. I'm going to be careful with Shabbos observance. I'm going to be careful with benod lechavero, between man and man, interpersonal relationships. I'm going to be careful with my lashon hara, the way in which I speak. I'm going to be careful with the things that I'm looking at, listening to, all those things. And for some reason, there seems to be a theme. At the very moment that I tell God that I am going to work on myself and push myself beyond what I normally do, all of a sudden, I get these tests and these challenges. And I say, Lord Almighty, I get it. If you want to give me challenges because I'm being a bad boy, I ain't doing the right thing. You got to whip me into shape, little whippersnapper over there coming on and coming out. I got it. But what if I want to do the right thing? Like, why is it at the moment that I choose to do the right thing, suddenly you give me all these tests? What are you doing to me? What is it? I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to get close. Why would you make it hard for me? To what is this comparable? This is comparable to a person who's working at a gym. They're working out. And when they're working out, they say to their trainer, I really I want to grow more. Like I want to be bigger. I want to be stronger. I don't want to show off. You know what I'm saying? But like it's really nothing to show off. But I want to be stronger and more muscular, whatever it may be. And when you say that, your trainer goes, "Oh, okay. So just 1 second." And what do? They go to that pin, where they have the weights. You pull down the bar and they have the weights, and they pull it out and they lower it a little and move it instead of from 10 pounds to 20 pounds, right? Or from, let's say, 20 pounds to 30 pounds, or in my case, from like 400 grams to a couple of pounds, and you up it a little. And then what happens? And you look at the trainer and you go, I don't understand you. I just said that I want to grow. Why are you giving me a challenge? Why are you making it hard for me? I told you that I want to do well and I want to be stronger and I want to be bigger. So why would you give me a challenge at the moment that I tell you I want to get stronger? And obviously the answer is foolish person. It's because you said you want to get stronger. So how do you get stronger? The only way you get stronger is through a challenge. So when we say, God, I want to get closer to you, and then you get a challenge, you're like, I don't understand, God. Like, what's happening over here? Like, I just said I want to get closer. Why are you making it hard? It's just because you said you want to get closer. And if you want to get closer, there's going to be challenges there. And that's what this world is. This world is about those challenges and about overcoming those challenges and pushing through those challenges. Without them, then we don't have anything. We got nothing over here. So here's the thing. Yaakov Avinu, he's ready. He's like, okay, Bikesh Leishi B'Shalva. I just want to sit. I just want to learn. Hashem says, you have to understand that's not what it's about. Rav Yerucham Levavus says a beautiful idea on this concept. He says that every situation that a person is in has the opportunity to purify them. Let me talk to you. Every situation that you are in, Dean, I'm talking to you. You're saying, Beth, this is for you, this discussion. Every situation, Malki, that you find yourself in, every situation you're in has the opportunity to purify you. If we were to look at the circumstances and situations that we are in through that lens, through the lens of this has the opportunity for me to purify myself, to become greater, then it is a totally different outlook. And the way that we deal with it is literally make katsa el katsa from one extreme to the next. It's from I can't deal with this. I can't cope with it. I can't handle it. I'm shutting down. I'm depressed. I'm catatonic. I don't know what to do. To interesting. This is interesting. This scenario is like I didn't ask for this, and it's hard, but must be that this is a situation that I'm supposed to go ahead and grow from. You see, it's not even though I have challenges, I work on myself. It's because of the challenges. Not even though I have challenges, I grow. It's because of the challenges that I grow. I always wonder, like I look at it in terms of if you go through like Middle Ages, you go back to, let's say, the year 1000, right? You go back to the year 1000. So there was a great rabbi by the name of Rabbeinu Bachai Ibn Bakit. He wrote a book called the Chovas HaLevavos. Many people don't know the Chovas HaLevavos was written 1,000 years ago. He lived before Rashi. It's like an amazing concept. What a powerful book. I don't know if anybody learned it. We've said it in the past. I've said it many times. The past for me. Maybe it wasn't to you. I have said, and I will say, and hopefully continue to say, you got to learn Chovas HaLevavos. You got to learn duties of the heart, and in particular, Shar B'Tachon, and every other chapter. But that's that's like the known one, and every other book that exists in all of everything in Torah and Mitzvot. Anyway, point is that how did he write a book in the year 1000? Phew, how do you what was going on in the year 1000? What was going on in the 1040s, like when Rashi came about? And what was going on in the 1100s when the Rambam came about? And what was going on in the 1200s when the Ramban came about, right? Maimonides, Nachmanides. What about when the Ritva, when the Rashba, when the Marsha, when all the great, what we call the Rishonim, the early commentators, when they're writing their books, that was during crusades, that was during inquisitions, that was in the midst of pogroms and just Cossacks and just death and destruction. Wow. How were they able to write such good things? And this is like what you'll hear like a mashgiach in the yeshiva say, Rabbi Isai, you have to understand, if they can do it during the hard times, then certainly we can do it during the easy times. And I think it's actually just the opposite. The only reason why Chovas HaLevavos, Rashi, Rambam, Ramban, Ritva, Mashar, they were able to write these things is specifically because they were going through those challenges. At the time they were being challenged the most, is when we could stand up and really shine. When things are easy and there's no pressure, there's no lachatz, which is pressure in Hebrew, so I just said the same thing twice. But if there's no pressure a third time, then then what is there, right? When it's actually our generation that we're living in right now. It's actually the hardest to be a Jew in. You would think that, like, okay, it's easiest. We have freedom of religion. Okay, before now, anti-Semitism like crazy, but you're doing like it. The problem is because it's free and I could just get it, so we don't value it. I could do it anytime, and if I could do it anytime, I'll do it anytime. Bikesh Leishi Bashalva is that no, you have to understand it's not in spite of, it's because of. And going through those challenges is how we actually grow and how we become bigger and how we become more. It's to go through those challenges and to keep pushing. So Bikesh Leishi Bashalva, Mashallah Davar Doma. I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you what it's Doma to. It's Doma to this beautiful holiday called Chanukah. And we go and we light the menorah. We light up the night. We light the menorah. And, I think some say, come on, baby, light my fire. When we go and we light this menorah, it's important to understand that how do you light the menorah? Well, let's take it back a little bit because some are not familiar with this idea. We know that when finally they made their way into the Heichal. This is after they fought back and Chashmonaim and the battle, and they make their way into the Beis Hamikdash, and they want to light the menorah, not to be confused with the Chanukah, right? What we do in Chanukah is called the Chanukah. We call it a menorah, but it's not really. A menorah is that in the Beis Hamikdash. They would light that every single day. Nothing to do with Chanukah. Chanukah is a D'Rabbanan holiday. It came only because of this. We lit the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash every single day. That was the menorah. Okay. Now you had to light it with pure olive oil. Shemen, Zayis, Zach, pure olive oil. How do you get the pure olive oil? Well, you have to go ahead and take olives and you have to crush and take the drops. How many? One. You're only allowed to use the very first drop of the olive. Second drop you can't use. So it's amazing in the Beis Hamikdash. So it's amazing to think. Why would it take so long to prepare? The answer is you need thousands of olives to get a little bit of oil, right? Just to be able to get that pure first drop. How do you get that drop? Well, you get that drop by crushing the olive. If you don't crush the olive, you can't get that pure oil. Yaakov wanted the oil without being crushed. You can't have the oil without being crushed. It doesn't work like that. I think somebody said something about not having a cake and not eating it. I don't know what that means. I just eat cake and I don't think about it. But the point is, you can't have the olive oil without crushing it. You gotta crush the olive to get the oil. We are the olives. We're the olives. And if we want to get that oil, that greatness that we're supposed to be, and continuously growing, getting more and more, dare I say, chizik, okay, in our lives, then we have to be willing to crush the olives and go through the challenges. And that's Dafka specifically what was going on Chanukah. This message is meant to awaken us. You can't have the oil without going through the toil. I just came up with that, by the way. That was awesome. You can't have the oil without the toil. And the T of toil is Torah and then oil. Whatever. I don't know if we should keep going with it. The point is you can't have the oil without the toil. If you actually want to be able to get the oil, you must toil. Adam le'amal yulad. We were created in order to work. That's what we're supposed to be doing, working on ourselves, pushing ourselves, growing. The way the Vilna Gaon explains that the purpose of creation, he writes in Evan Shlema, the whole reason, it's a book that he wrote, the Vilna Gaon, 1700s, he says that the whole purpose is Shaviros Hamidos, is to break our character, our negative character. That's hard. Gotta push it. If we're not pushing it, I couldn't think of another rhyme, then we're not going to get it. We got to toil to get that oil. Now, besides that, we know that Chanukah was a time when they said they're not allowed to learn. You're not allowed to learn Torah. You're not allowed to be involved in Torah and mitzvahs in a way that any sort of connection with the Rebbe with Hashem. That's the dreidel. They would spin the dreidel, would come in, and they would want learning in the middle of learning. They would go, they quickly spin the dreidel. Oh, no, we were just playing a game. Nothing was going on. We're not allowed to be doing this right now. During those times, and that's exactly the message. The whole goal over there was to stop us from being able to grow. But the reality is that in the darkness itself is where we get the most light. That's that. The darker a place is, the more opportune is for light. That is, you can see it much more clear. You can see it much more clear. But when everything's light, when everything's free and everything's available, so then we don't notice that light as much. We don't notice it. So that's what we come down to over here, is to understand that Bikesh Leishe B'Shalva, we got to make sure that we are pushing. Now, obviously, and for me it's obvious, maybe for you also. Whoever, again, Rebbitzin, who's fast, you can mute everyone. You have the power. But anyway, and then unmute me, I guess. Or whoever knows what I'm talking about, mute yourself. Where was I? Right. Don't put yourself in a scenario where you're gonna have to, fight. That's we don't. Yaakov wasn't supposed to throw Yosef to sell him to Egypt, right? That's not what you're supposed to do. But we daven not to have these challenges. We daven not to. But it's specifically in the challenges is where we grow. This is like Rav Noah Weinberg used to speak out with. We know that our whole life, our entire lives. What is life? When is there life? There's only life if there's a challenge. If there's no challenge, there's no life. What am I talking about? Well, the Holy Torah tells us, Ubacharta b'chaim. Hashem says to choose life. What does that mean, to choose life? That means Ubacharta b'chaim. Bechira, choice, is chayim, is life. Without choice, you don't have a life. Sometimes we can feel like that. Someone doesn't give you any choice. Like, you're not even letting me have a choice. I mean, like, what's even the point of it? Right? If you don't have choice, you don't have life. Life is only when there are choices. What is choice? Choice is when you have two options in front of you that are in the same playing field of what you want to be doing. In other words, if I put in front of you a steak, if you're vegetarian, so I'll daven for you. If I put it inside of you, and if that offended you, then okay. So, it's not a good shit if you don't offend someone. If I put a steak in front of you, and I also put in front of you a plate of grass, I say, which one would you like to eat for dinner? The answer is, I think truth is, nowadays everyone comes up with like the craziest recipes. It's just basically all grass. That's all it is. Like, it's like, anyway, but if I put in front of you a plate of dirt, I don't think we got there yet. A plate of dirt and a steak, then the answer is that obviously you're going to take the steak. That's not a choice. A choice is when I have two things in front of me and it's a challenge, right or left, this one or the other one. Now we have what's called life that's in front of us. And at that moment is where when that challenge kicks in, that's when I'm deciding, and that's where I have the opportunity for incredible growth. This is something to understand. I heard from my neighbor, where am I pointing? There, lives that way. I heard from my neighbor, Rabbi Elbaz, who's also in Esha Torah. He was quoting Rav Meilich Biederman. So I went to listen to Rav Meilich, and I heard him. And then, but he said something on his own, so I'm going to quote Rav Elbaz, my neighbor, and Rav Meilich. And he said the following, that there's a very unusual, unique, is a better word, a very unique symbol that comes up in this past week's parasha, and that symbol is called the shalsheles. The shalsheles is the symbol, and we know that when I say we know, let me take that back. There is something called Kriyas Torah, and that is every week we read from the Torah. And the one who reads from the Torah, the one who's the Baal Koreh, the one who's laning, who reads the Torah, it's done with a certain tune. That tune is known as trop or cantillation marks. Every word in the Torah, not every single one, but many of the words have notes on them. right? So if you're a musician, so you can take a look and you'll see like where it is on the line, and you'll know whether it's A B C D F G, if it's flat, if it's a sharp, it's a major, etc. And these are notes, and we have mapach, pashta, munach, zarka, tavir, kadmavi azla, gerish, right, revi'i, all different notes. There's different ways of going to say it. And these notes, one of them is called a shalshelis. Now, whereas let's say a mapach comes up thousands of times at the Torah, a shalshelis is the type of note that comes up only 4 times in the entire Torah. Only 4 times. The shalshelis, the tune for Ashkenazim is shalshelis. That's the tune of it. If you're a Sephardi, it's probably like, I don't know how you do it. But that's Ashkenazim we do like I just said, and the sign for it, the symbol is like this. It goes to one side and then it goes up to the other, then up to the other, and up to the other. It just keeps going like a graph, but back and forth. And without going through all of them, I just want to talk about one that's talked about with Yosef at Tzaddik. That Yosef, when Joseph was challenged, we know that Yosef was alone with someone named Ishes Potiphar. Ishes Potiphar's name was Zalicha. Now, as the Medrash says, her name was Zalicha. And this woman, Zalicha, who was a married woman, wanted to have a relationship with Yosef. And Yosef was working in the house. He was the butler. He was the guy who ran the home. But he was a worker. He can't be with this woman. And she constantly tried to get him to go and to fall to her. And the pasuk says vayimain, and vayimain means that he refused. He refused to do it. And on that word, you have the shalshelis. What's the shalshelis? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So the commentaries explain, this is before I get to Rav Meilich, I get to Rav Elbaz, that the concept of the shalshelis is a struggle. The symbol goes this way. So I want to do this. No, this way. No, I really want to do that. And then it goes, no, this way. And then it goes, and that way, and this way, and that way. And it just keeps going back and forth. That's what the struggle is. The back and forth, that's our life. That's our choices. That's what's going on over here. However, Rav Meilich then explained an interesting idea. He said that when it comes to businessmen, you have a person who's a businessman. He's working and he's making good money. The person's making, hundreds of thousands a year or even millions a year. When a person is making millions a year, even if you worked from 7 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, just got home, went to sleep, got back up and hit the road again and get back to work, you're only going to make, there's a cap of how much you can make. Meaning the people that go from making millions to making hundreds of millions or billions, something happens. They don't do the same thing over and over. Someone starts a company's doing well, so they're making millions and tens of millions. But to get to the hundreds of millions and the billions, usually someone comes and buys you out. There's a big deal that happens. And that's why we call it a big deal, right? A big deal happens, and that big deal then just propels a person from being, to one level, which could be a high level, and suddenly they're on a much higher level, and it happens within seconds, right? Going from nothing to everything, and that's pretty amazing. So he said that just like that works like in the business world, that works like that in terms of our spirituality also. When it comes to our spirituality, we can grow and we can grow and we can grow. But every so often we have these challenges that come up in our life that this is the way that, the way Rav Elbaz explained it, said that's the symbol. And when you overcome the challenge, you quickly skyrocket all the way up to a much higher level than you ever were. And it just propels you to the highest of the high. So what that means is that when we're going through these challenges and we're going through these hardships, it's to understand that they're there for us to be able to purify ourselves. And like Rav Yerucham said, if we would look at it like that, then instead of it being overbearing and it's unattainable, right? You can't overcome this and we're stuck and it's finished. It becomes, this is challenging. Okay, let me see what can I do to be able to learn from this, to grow from it, to become more. Because that's this world. If you want the oil, you got to toil. You got to push through it. And then you have once in a while those serious challenges that will just propel you and project you all the way up to the top. We just have to be looking at it from that angle and that understanding and that realization that what we're dealing with right now, that we're going through right now, is on purpose and not random. There's a plan here, and there's something that's supposed to be learning and growing from it. And if we go in with that attitude, then the challenges no longer become overwhelming. The challenges then become a new understanding for us to be able to get to the next level. Now, I always feel like I have to say this. I don't know you guys. I don't know what you're going through, and I'm not coming to downplay anybody what some people are going through. And if someone fails in there in the experience that they go through, so all of a sudden say, okay, I fail all the time. I love it. I'm great at that. There's one thing I'm good at, it's failure. But we understand that's what the pasuk tells us. Kishava yipol tzadik v'kam. Okay, you're gonna fall. That's not you go through a hard thing, you could fall. But the point is to let's just get back up, pick yourself up and keep going. Pick yourself up and keep going. Understand? Yeah, it's okay. If you fail, it doesn't mean that you're not great and that you're not amazing. Because the pasuk says, "Ki sheva yipol tzaddik." It's the tzaddik that fell. Hold on, the righteous person. I thought you were saying a person falls and not righteous. And he says, no, it's the righteous person that falls. But the reason why they're called righteous is because they get back up. If a person stays down, that's where there's a problem. If the person gets back up, then we understand now it becomes somewhat, it became purposeful and directive, and there's something that we're going on over here. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do right now. This is a quick recap of everything we did, and then open it up to any questions, comments, stories, jokes, attacks on any topic that you'd like. And then, end it off with just a quick message. And then we'll let Rebbitzin-Feld, don't worry about it. I'm good. We good. Right? And then we're going to bounce. So here we go. So we started off in the beginning. Come on, I said, we want to go to sit and just chill. Let me just learn my Torah, right? And what's going through Adam from the time he was in the womb, he was going through the challenges. And the bracha bitcha katana, and going through running away, and he's trying to kill him, and all the different things happen. And then Yosef, what's going on? And it's just because it don't work like that. No mazeh. In this world, you're supposed to go through these challenges and overcoming and going through these challenges, not in spite of, but rather because of. Those challenges are there for able to be able to actually grow over there. And that's the question of what we're supposed to be thinking about. What does Hashem want from me in this particular situation? Whether that's something that God forbid a person experiences a personal loss of sorts or some sort of health, finance, relationship, whatever. It doesn't make that weight loss. It's like the worst of them all. Right? Whatever a person, weight gain, right, goes through. Right? Get ready for Chanukah. Eat those donuts. Right? What does Hashem want from me? I can be mitzaref. I could fashion and form myself through these experiences that's going on over here. And then we start to understand the concept of a person wants to do. What does he want to get? He wants the oil without the toil. If you want that oil, you got it. Toil ain't no thing. Why at the very moment that I want to grow, do you make it hard for me, trainer? And it's just because you said you want to grow. And when a person wants to grow, then they're going to go through the struggles, those challenges. And those challenges are there not to destroy them, but to build them. Let's say 1,100, 12,000, 1,100, 1,200, 13, 14, 15. How did they write to the dark ages? How do they do such things? It's just because of the dark ages. And that's what Chanukah was. Chanukah is that they stopped us and pushed us and let us to learn, didn't let us grow. But that's what happens. That's what the oil is. The oil is you got to toil in order to get that oil. And that is what Chanukah is. They got the oil. They went to get the oil. How do you do it? You got to take that and you got to squeeze it and then you take a little bit from it. Is that the craziest thing? You toil and all you get is a drop. But it's okay. Toil again. And then you get another drop. And then you toil again. You get another drop. And you put this together. And then you can light the Chanukah menorah. It's slow and steady wins the race. But sometimes we go through the experience that I'm just going to raise this to the highest of levels. And that's what we talk about Yosef Atzadik. The person doesn't become a millionaire to a billionaire. It doesn't happen unless there's some big buyout, unless there's some serious deal, unless serious challenge that happens. When you have that serious thing and you're willing to overcome that by looking through the lens of Yeruchams of Hashem to do it at a particular time, then all of a sudden, boom, you'll be able to go into the highest of the high. Doesn't mean that it's easy. Doesn't mean it's not a challenge. Choose life. That's what life is when the choices are. And that's the time to go and take it. So before anybody jumps off, I just have to quickly say, and then I'm opening up to questions to switch it around. I just want to point out, first of all, thank you all for coming and for being here right now. And there are 63 people that are on right now. 63 is the numerical value of what? I'm not sure. But the point, it's 62. Oh, no, you didn't. Anyway, 63 is how many Masechtas there are in all of Shas Mishnayos. So that's an amazing thing, because we know the whole thing of Chanukah was to fight against the idea of Shas, of Mishnah. But fine. But here's my point. 63 people that are on. Oh, we got him back, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us again. I'm going to do Barry asked me not to do this so openly, but I don't care, so I'm going to be open. There is an organization that is called the Chizik mission, and anybody who's on this right now is familiar with it because you're on it right now. Those who've been on these trips and have been on these getaways and been on these Zooms and have been on these talks and been on these email lists and been on these messages and been on these things know how powerful it is. You understand? It's quite literally Pshut Shmo. It is exactly what it sounds like. Chizik. It's exactly what it sounds like. Will give you strength. It's going to strengthen you to continue to get closer to yourself, to your family, to Hashem, and ultimately full circle to yourself again, because all of that is there in order to be able to grow on your own level, on your own, what we're supposed to be doing in this life of continuously growing and becoming more and more and more. The reality is, just to cut to the chase, there's going to be a fundraiser. We need money. So I'm looking for everyone here to commit $1,800. If you want to do 18,000, that's also fine. You want to do 18 million, that's also okay. But to go ahead and to commit something, even a few dollars for another organization, but for this one, 1,800 at least. And to take something. Okay, give me less than that. You can't do it. Do what you got to do. I'm not putting the pressure. At the end of the day, I don't get paid extra, less, more for saying this type of stuff. Do what's going to work for you. But understand the fact that at the helm, obviously, other people involved, and etc. But the helm of this is Rebbe Feld, and I just want to quote Rabbi Berg, quoting Rebbe Feld, that he's there because of me. But what he did say, just to quote the next part of the quote, is the fact that Rebbe Feld is doing a lot. That's Beery, by the way. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Beery. Everyone knows who Beery is. Everyone's familiar with Beery. Everyone knows Beery. Everyone loves Beery. And I was impressed to see that I'm not the only one who saw you as a Gedolah Hadora. And I want everybody here to take something to do to keep this going, to keep it going, to give more chizik that you should be giving to yourself. You should be getting the chizik, and b'siyata d'shmaya to be giving other people chizik to really make a serious difference. That's the reality of it. Campaign coming up. I don't know. You'll get details. I'm sure you'll know what it is with one of those messages and whatever it is. But b'siyata d'shmaya, if everyone could help out a little bit or a lot, then that will, God willing, be able to keep this thing going in a tremendous way. There's my pitch. Questions, comments,
Yes.
stories.
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, Mama.
Yeah. So I was so inspired that I had to add to your little poem there, or rhyme. So you said, Adam umal yulad, man has to toil. So Adam had to work the soil, and Esther had to become a royal, and an egg we have to boil. And Chanukah forbade the moil. A shalsheles is like a coil. Would you choose grass or steak to broil? The bottom line is Torah and Rav Gav. Stay loyal. And if you want to be a fabulous person, give money and you'll be a real chizuk goyal.
Unbelievable. Oh, my goodness.
Inspired by you.
That was amazing. Send it to me. ravgav@gmail.com. Send it to me because I want to use it as if I made it. I'm not quoting you. I did it myself.
No.
Okay,
good.
Now it's open to the crowd after an incredible.
We loved it.
Incredible poem.
All of you. And 1,800 is 18 times chai. If chai was 180, and 10 times 180. So
100 times chai, right?
It's very profound. Yes. So everyone just has to give 180 10 times, or find 10 people to give 180, or 18 people to give 100, or 180 people to give $10.
Yeah.
Okay. You just have to toil, and then you will get a free bottle of oil. I will send it to you. Amen. Loved it.
Okay, Rabbit, I'm giving you the floor. If anybody you want to take charge, if anybody has any questions, comments, stories, if not, I'm bouncing.
No, don't bounce. Let's open this up for questions because I think it's so important. Kayes, can I start with a question, please?
Sorry, the staff are not allowed to ask questions.
Okay, then somebody else has a question. I think it's.
Miriam Trust, are you asking a question? You're muted. Unmute. Miriam, unmute. No.
You can, here, I'll do it. You can do it. You can unmute her.
No, I can request.
I'll ask the question. She has it good.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes.
I do now. Yeah.
Rabbi Gav, what I'm just wondering is you see, you're saying if you toil, there's oil. I have seen in life people go through horrific things and they never get to see the oil. That's just, and I've been to the mission so many times, and I've heard speakers always say this, but I always think about the people that I know who unfortunately haven't been zocha to see the oil. So what do you say then?
Okay, great. That's an excellent question. So I think the first thing that needs to be clarified is how do we define the oil? If the oil means that I'm going to get what I want, then I agree with what you're saying. But oil here doesn't mean you're going to get what you want per se. Oil means that you are actually going to grow from this. If a person decides not to grow from their experience, but again, this is a very sensitive topic. I can't, it's just not unfair of me, especially if people have been through really, 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 really challenging things and are still going through them and haven't gotten what they wanted. But finance, marriage, children, whatever it is, and I'm going to come and say like, oh, it's okay, Hashem loves you. No, that really stinks. That's really hard. I'm not discussing that or whatever. And I can't really be the one to go and say that now, everything's going to be okay. That's not necessarily the case. However, what does it mean, oil? What does it mean when we talk about if you toil, then we get the oil? What that means is that if one were really to go, again, I'm not talking specific cases and whatever it is and craziness and whatever, and that's like a personal type of thing. But in the general sense of what that means is that we are going to become bigger and better. I'll give you an example that without giving an example, we've all been through circumstances that we've had opportunities to deal with differently. So that means that, let's say I go through one experience and I get angry. And then I go through that same experience, I get angry again. And we all know our spouses, our parents, our siblings. We know we could say X and it will get a response of Y, right? We understand that people are basically, just I don't want to say it that way because then it's going to open up a whole fight. Predictable. They're predictable. And that is that if I know my mother, I could say something to her to make her happy. I know it's going to make her sad. I know it's going to make her nervous, right? Okay, so let's talk about us now. We're the recipients of that. If, let's say, I react with anger to a circumstance over and over and over again, is it possible to react differently to the circumstance? Is it possible that a person reacts to a circumstance without anger? And I'm going to say straight up, the answer is sure. Of course it is. It's possible. It's less likely for me to do that. For so many years, I've been reacting a certain way, but it's possible. When the person does do that, and I'll speak about for myself, during those few encounters that perhaps have never happened, but in theory, that I don't get angry in a circumstance I would normally get angry, the feeling of success and the ability to continue to grow in other areas has come out. That is called the oil. I just saw a minimal. I didn't even see. Somebody that I was with was listening to a podcast about a couple that doesn't have children, and they've been trying to have children, haven't had children, and it's been many years. And it's interesting to listen. I heard like a few minutes of it. That they were saying it's challenging, it's hard, but we have grown immensely. They still don't have a child. They're still going through the hardships. They're still in that terrible situation. But that doesn't mean that they haven't gained from it and they haven't gotten oil. It just means that particular thing they want, they're not getting. So this is a short answer. There's obviously a longer answer and more particular and specific to circumstance. However, the general understanding is we'd have to define what we mean by that. And if what we mean is, I'm not getting what I want. Okay, so then we have to maybe rethink our level of maturity and understanding a little bit. But if it is hard, that's true. It's hard. I hope that answered it in some way, shape, or form. And if it didn't, then we're moving on anyway. Next, what do we got? Unholy, you could do it now if you want. Oh, Michelle Hirsch raised her hand. Nice. That was a good shtick. Go for it.
Is it possible that we have to, thank you, Rav Gav, for doing this for us. Is it possible that we might have to maybe even, I'm going to butcher this phrase because, just not my thing to know these things by heart, but when we say tzaddik, varalo, and Russia, tovlo, whatever it is it almost like we've butchered that a little bit and we've maybe messed that up by thinking like, that good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. And we've labeled these things with our very human minds. But really like we're looking at life the wrong way in terms of what the path is in front of us and the stuff that we have to deal with. That these are all part of our individual journeys, and there is no bad and good. And like, I mean, even though we feel it, and it's not that there isn't bad, but in terms of our approach to how we're here on this earth to live a godly life, we're trying to combine it with a very humanistic concept of like good things happening or bad things happening.
Right. Okay. So I don't think you butchered anything. I think you did a great job. I'll tell you like this. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, Ein biyadenu, it is not in our hands to understand the tranquility of the wicked and the suffering of the righteous. So that's one sentence. But we also know, Kol madda avad rachmana latav, everything that a God does is for the good. And we also know, Kishem shemavarchan ala tov, kach mavarchan ala ra. Just like we make a bracha for good, we do it for bad also. And that means besimcha, with joy. How do you put all these things together? So we'd have to understand, the answer is that I think you're correct that there are areas where we maybe, I don't know the word, like butchered it, the areas that we butcher the concept, that, yeah, the question of why do bad things happen to good people or why do good things happen to bad people is making a huge presupposition that that person is bad or that person is good, and that thing that happened is bad and that thing that happened is good. Maybe we're wrong, and what we thought was bad is really good, and what we thought someone who was good is really bad. That is definitely correct. Where that comes down to is like if we have exhausted all avenues and we've got to the point where this doesn't make sense to us, the answer is, you're right. Lo machshavosai machshavosechem, lo derechechem derechaynu Hashem. So spoketh the Lord to Moses. My ways are not yours. My thoughts are not yours. And there are going to be things that you're not going to understand. And it's going to be complicated and hard, and you're not even going to get, how does this make any sense? So the answer to your question is both. There's some areas that we butcher it, and that really it's not what you think it is. It's actually good instead of bad. And there are other areas that, yeah, even once we worked it all through, still there are going to be things we're not going to understand, and that's beyond our comprehension. I hope that was, again, these are all shorthand answers. I mean, we could do classes in each one of these, but yeah, that's it. Aviva's iPhone, raise hands, go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Rav Gav. I see how much you like a catchphrase, so I wanted to share a thought with you. Sunny Levy, who also is a speaker at the Chizuk Mission, she's, I don't know if you know who she is, she's a Taekwondo champion. And
like
she
me.
uses this phrase that she says that when you've accomplished something difficult, it's like testing for a black belt. And once you get a black belt, so then you start again. And it's hard again. She says, she calls it this thing leveling up. So that's, you've accomplished something and you've done something and you've completed something, and then you level up and it's hard again and it's a new thing again. And, it's that other little drop that you have to work for again. So she calls it leveling up.
Yeah, that's very good. And I think that that's like connected to the iPhone Miriam point of, I didn't get the whatever it is. The answer is maybe you didn't get in a particular area what it is you're looking for. That doesn't mean that we didn't grow in a particular area, that we can't grow from it. And so to speak, like you said, level up. Okay, so Orly, smart move. What do you got?
Okay, so forgive me, I'm really half asleep. Baruch Hashem, my daughter's had a baby and I'm functioning on 48 hours of no
Dropping
sleep.
a line like that, mazel tov.
Okay, thank you. So you used an adjective and I can't remember what it was, but when we have nisyanos, when there's challenges and we toilet in them, you said that there's a reason. You used a different adjective, but there's a reason or something that it's supposed to like help us work, whatever, improve us, something. I can't remember what you said. Yeah. About what if there's so many times when we're going through a challenge and we can't figure out the reason why, it's not like Kadosh Baruch Hu, I think, has like a tit for tat. Like, I give you this because I want you. I don't think, but there's something, it's like, like when people say to you, what's your iyud? I'm like, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure that out, kind of thing. Like, same thing with this. How do you figure out what the message is? What is the reason? What is the point? What are you supposed to work on yourself from this. This challenge is to sharpen you. This challenge is to make you grow closer to Hashem. This challenge is to make you more refined, better person. But in which way? And how do you figure that out?
Okay, that's a very good question. I guess if I could reword it, the question is, when we go through something in life and we understand that there's not for nothingness. I think the word I use is that there's a purpose, that there's something that's there, that there's there for us to be able to grow from and learn from and get something from it. Okay, that's really nice. So when my left, let's say my left rib is hurting, the third one, so how am I supposed? So what that means is that one time you weren't careful with shatnez. Like, how am I supposed to know, like, what to connect to what particular thing and what to grow in what particular area? So the answer is as follows. Number one, there was a time when, and perhaps there's still people like this, I'm not one of them, were able to understand and see clearly and understand, get through an experience, figure out what exactly it is. The Gemara says that when a person goes through a painful experience, and a painful experience means you put your hand in your pocket, you want to take out a quarter, and you accidentally take out a nickel, something that is not what you were looking for. That already is a painful experience. It's a much smaller than stubbing toe and then sickness and losing money and death and whatever, but it's still in the realm of asking what's going on over here. Why did this thing, which seemingly not good, happen to me? Why did that happen? So the Gemara says the first thing you're supposed to do is yafash feish b'maisav. Look into your actions and try to figure out, is there something that I did that maybe I have to now go ahead and learn from this? So I'll tell you, like I asked Rav Berkowitz about this once. I said to Rav, I said to him, are we on such a level to understand and know exactly what he just says? No, we're not on that level. We're not on a level to be able to get tit for tat, to know exactly what's going on. We're not on that level. But we all know that there are things that we need to work on. Adam Yodea Maris Nafsho. Everybody knows what it is, that there's areas that they have to work on. At the very least, pick an area and start working on it. It doesn't have to go so deep into the yud, although it can. It doesn't have to not, it could. But it means to say that take something and work on it. Like Amar also says very famously, for those who were back in the JWRP days, before even Momentum, then you might recall, if you were on the Shabbaton, one of the things I would speak at on Friday night is, B'derech sha'adam rotza leilech b'malichin. In the way that a person wants to go, they will be led. If you care enough and you want to get this and you daven and you ask for help, you will get more, at least call it this, more clarity than if you don't. Let's put it that way, right? You get more clarity than if you don't. So are we really working towards it, or we're theoretically working towards it? Like, I want to know the answer, but like, let me think. I don't know. Okay, I'm going out. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Is this something which is real? So what I would say is, let's go 2 then 1. Let's go backwards. Number 1 is daven, ask Hashem for siyata d'shmaya, for help and clarity and getting understanding which direction I should be going and what I can learn from this, I can grow. And the other one is more, okay, I don't know exactly what it is, but I do know the areas I need to work on. I'm going to start working in those areas. I hope that was helpful. Yeah. What else we got? Rebbitzin, I'm not staying on forever. We got any more?
Can you could you one more?
You.
Oh, okay. It's okay to ask this quick question? If I don't want to take anybody else. Anybody else wanted to ask a question? And if not, I'll ask the question. Okay, let me get myself centered back again. The area, and I was listening to Rebbitzin Shira Smiles was speaking today, and I was listening just in terms of different people speaking on Chanukah, that the exact, right, that how we're the area that overall, that the nation of Klal Yisrael is weakened, and that is where the outside forces, help me with what I'm trying to say here, is showing us what it is that we, right, personally, when we're talking about Chanukah, right, we were weakened in our area of our ruchnius at that time. So Hashem it was clear that the outside nation came, the Greeks came to show us, right, what it is that we need to be.
If I see it correctly, you're saying the outside world will always hit us in a particular area that we need to be working on.
The Jewish people at large, correct? That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that's number one. And number two, the same idea of how the Baal Shem Tov says, right, that life is a mirror. So what it is that we're looking at, the things that both are joyous and the things that are, as you're saying, challenging are also there. One could point a finger, or one could take a searing look internally to say, this is the area that one could be weakened, and it's giving us a deeper understanding of what it is on a collective note of the Jewish people and on an individual note, as opposed to looking at it like you're saying. It's like this. It's almost like a clear picture of what it is. Am I getting the clarity of what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I don't think you're asking a question. You're saying a statement, right?
I'm
Or you're
not even saying a statement. So now the next thing is, okay, with that sense of clarity is being able to, instead of, obviously that's where a person has to be working on their emunah. And what you're saying is take a searing look internally, and now what are the changes that one needs to make, that I need to make, that they need to make, that we collectively as a Jewish people, that Hashem, Rav Noach Zatzal used to always say that Hashem speaks to us in clear messages if we're listening.
Right.
And right, he would say that it's, but okay, so then what help me with what I'm trying to say, like, especially now, Chanukah, and seeing and being able to see things in a clear way, that we should also be able to have the siyata d'shmaya, obviously davening for it and seeing it, and a person doesn't ask chas v'shalom to, what am I trying to say? It caught me off guard. I wish I would have written down the question before.
Okay,
And I always see-
process and think to come to
Yeah.
the question. I'm just going to, meantime, repeat what you just said. What you just
Okay.
said is the concept that when we are going through, you're quoting the Baal Shem Tov over there is a biggie. The idea of like I'll say it like this: the world is your. How do you say it?
Yeah, that's good.
The world is your
Oyster.
classroom. The world is your classroom. And we are supposed to be learning from, thank you for falling for it. We are supposed to be learning from Rebbetzin Hirsch. I know your kid, right? You're the one I know your kid? Okay, I thought so. Right? The world, Mazel Tov, and whatever Mazel Tovs you get. The world is our classroom. Ezu Chacham, Halomid Bikol Adam, who learns from every person. We're also meant to learn from every experience. Right? And when something's happening over there's a reason it's happening. Like the Chafetz Chaim says, straightforward, that anything that happens in the world is happening for the Jews. There's messages that we're supposed to be learning from it and taking it in and going ahead and thinking, so what am I supposed to be taking and learning from it? And that's why we have manhigim, gedolim, who are maybe a little bit more, let's say they're more tuned in to the messages, as you say. Like, the messages are always there. The question is whether our antennas are polished, and if anyone remembers antennas, like sticking up from the car, right? Whether they're there, hitting tunnels as you go through them. So that's the question. And we have the manhigim give us the direction, and we take it and we learn from it. Okay, that was meant to jog your memory of give me a direction of a question now, or you're just sharing an idea. And yes, that is correct. And we're moving on to other areas of life. Okay. Unmute yourself. Say it again.
No, it was meant to get just a sense of clarity that's what we were just looking at. The outside is really the inside, right? That's something like where those areas.
Anything that you experience in life there's a reason why you're seeing it. Every time that we go through something, there's a reason why we're going through it, and we're meant to really take that in. The danger in this is obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not meant to be that you walk down the street and you see a light. Oh my goodness, why am I seeing a light? Oh, light. And you're like, a piece of paint. I saw paint. And there is a Baal Shem Tov, approach of like the leaf falls off the tree and it goes onto to give a shade to the thing. If you could do that without getting too OCD, then we're great. The danger is if we, we hide our what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to call it mental challenges, let's call it, behind Judaism. So it's okay. I don't have OCD. I just wash my hands a lot because it's like a mitzvah to wash your hands. It just could be. It could be OCD. Right? That doesn't mean to say over here. But yes, we don't go too far with it to recognize that, we're supposed to learn from these experiences and grow from these experiences. And with that, I'm going to bid all y'all a happy Hanukkah. Afraid of Chanukah. All y'all should be blessed with a light of Hanukkah, with the clarity of that light, and with the ability to grow and get more. Toil with the oil. Don't let your plan be foil, and boil and broil and shmanoil.
Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And just to reiterate what Rav Gav said, and keep an eye out, January 14th and 15th, we will be running a crowdfunding campaign, and we really appreciate everyone participating in what we do and helping us to spread this to many, many more women. Have a great day and have a great Hanukkah.
Thank you, Hanukkah Sameach.
Chanukah Sameach. Thank you so much.